Question is, are we live? Looks like we are. Let's see. Guys, what's up? NKR Fishing and Outdoors. You just hooks at me? What does that mean, bro? How are you doing tonight? Hope you're having a good evening. I've got some things that I want to chat with you guys about. Just generally catch up. It's been a while since I've been on the YouTubes. So, wanted to give you guys an update as for how fishing has been here as of late in Colorado, and also show you my discount tackle package for this month for June 2021. So got kind of a lot to talk about, but first let's just generally catch up. Looks like William is in the house. What's up, William? How are you doing? Thank you for asking. I'm doing well. Family is doing well. The baby is now 3 months and change old. So my wife went back to work. Maternity leave is officially over for her. So last weekend was her first weekend back at work, and my first weekend just alone with the kids, juggling all 3 of them. So far so good. It went well, and everybody was on their best behavior last weekend. We'll see how this weekend goes. We've got some family coming into town. My wife's dad, my father-in-law, is coming into town tomorrow for about a week, so that should be fun to visit with him. We celebrated my parents' 40th wedding anniversary just this past weekend, which was awesome. And yeah, life is good right now, so thank you for asking, man. I appreciate it. Brian Waterman, what's up, dude? Good to see you in here. Cheers. Hope you're having a good night. I know it's a random Wednesday night, but like I said, I've got family coming into town tomorrow night, and he's going to be here for the next week, and my wife is working this weekend, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to hop on Friday or Saturday night. I will try if possible, but we'll have to see how that goes. So couple of things that I want to talk about. First are how fishing has been, what I've caught fish on so far this season, because it's really been pretty busy. I've done a lot of fishing over the past couple of months, really since my son was born, and haven't seen you guys a whole lot since then. And then I've also got a package from Discount Tackle for this month to open and show you guys. What's up, Ryan? Good to see you in here, man. Doing pretty well. So you guys tell me in the chat, which would you rather talk about first? Do you want to see the new baits, or do you want to talk about what I've been catching fish on, and have me show you some of those baits up close? Either way is fine with me. You just let me know kind of what direction you want to head in first. We can talk about what I've been catching them on, or we can talk about what I just purchased most recently. I'm going to show you guys both no matter what. So looks like William and Ryan both saying what you've been catching them on. So we can talk about that first. And Brian says, what do you think about Cherry winning every classic? Back-to-back classics is insane and super cool. Good for him, man. You know, honestly, Kevin Van Dam was the last person to do it. Is that right? Only a few people have done it in the history. So I say good for Hank Cherry. You know, he's not necessarily a dominant fisherman. He's very solid, and you know, I'm not totally surprised that he won, and I am very happy for him. for sure. So, you know, gotta be happy for the guy. Now, let's get into what I've been catching fish on so far this year. And I wrote down a little bit of a list in terms of what's been most productive for me. And I want to talk to you guys about these baits because some of them are new, some of them are not. And I think you guys will find the list interesting nonetheless, okay? So, first of all, I've been catching them on just the standard trout magnet jig head, but with a variety of different soft plastics rigged on the back of it. So the two things that I have had the most success with so far have been the new Donkey Tail Junior, which I've showed you guys before. I've got, you know, a couple packs here. Here's one that I've got in the Pasture Fire color. Riley's in the house. What's up, Riley? Thank you so much for asking. Family's doing well. This one is in a color called Dakota Sunrise. Essentially just like a morning dawn. Got one in chartreuse, one in green pumpkin. I've got one in black. So I've been rigging that on the trout magnet jig head and having a lot of success with it because it is just a tiny 1.6 inch paddle tail instead of just the split tail, like 1 inch long soft plastic bait that comes with the trout magnet. The other thing that I've been doing is using the Berkeley Max scent baits, two of them specifically. I've got the Flatworm, and I actually used this earlier today. This is in the black color, and as you can see, what I'm doing is just ripping the tail right off and then rigging that tail section onto the jig head. So really all I'm doing is taking, this is like a 3.5 inch bait, and I'm cutting off this last bulbous portion, okay? So that's all I'm rigging on the trout magnet jig head. And then likewise, I'm doing the same thing with the hit worm, okay? So I've got this bait in the pumpkin seed color, and you'll be able to tell just by looking at these baits what I've been doing. And likewise, I've just been cutting off the tail section. So what I can do is actually take off this final 1.5 inches or 2 inches and actually cut it into two separate pieces. One that is the very bulbous end and one that is this more straight and skinny piece of plastic. And been doing very well with those on the trout magnet jig head. Now, I've also been using these Max scent baits in a few different ways. So I've been rigging them like you would expect on a drop shot, and had very good success with that. I've been throwing them on a wacky rig, and I've been throwing them weightless on a Texas rig as well. So I gotta say, the hit worm so far has been a huge player for me this season, and one that is very underrated, especially in this pumpkin seed color. So very, very satisfied with the Max scent stuff so far, and it stinks for show. Let me try and catch up on these comments. Brian says, I caught a 3-pound bass with a bonus cross-eyed chatterbait in its lips that someone broke off. No way! What did you catch the bass on? That's pretty cool that you got a cross-eyed chatterbait out of catching a fish. I've caught a few fish this year that have had hooks in their mouths, but I haven't gotten any bonus lures out of it. So That's pretty sweet. Riley, don't worry about it. I appreciate you saying that it's on the way. Good to know. But yeah, it'll get here when it gets here. You know what I mean? Not a big deal. Okay, so moving right along, I've actually had really good success with this guy this year. And I had great success with it last year too. This is the Strike King Baby Z2. So this is a fluke style bait, but it's downsized. So I want to say it's just like a 3.5 inch or that alarm might go back off in 10 minutes. I didn't mean to snooze it, but I might have. So sorry about that, guys. All right, so this is the Strike King Baby Z2. As you can tell, it is just a fluke style bait. It's got a forked tail, but it's made of Elastec. What makes it different than standard Z-Man Elastec is that it has a higher salt content. It is made by Z-Man, but almost from a different recipe. And I think that's per Strike King's request. But if you guys follow along with Kevin Van Dam at all, you'll know that he's a big fan of this bait, and I am too. I've had good success throwing this on a drop shot and having success throwing it on just like a weightless Texas rig. If you stretch the bait out enough and get the salt to come out, it will not float on the surface but have a super slow fall. And so you can twitch that thing like a fluke and it will dart and walk subsurface just barely under the surface. And so I've had really good success on the Baby Z2 so far this year. And moving right along, I don't think I have any sitting right here, but in terms of spinner baits, the Strike King Rocket Shad has done me quite well so far. So that's been kind of cool, especially in multi-species situations. I've caught crappie and bass on that bait. I love how it's got a small profile, but it's got that Colorado blade, really good swivel on it. So I've been pretty happy with that. I don't have any to show you, but my homemade flies that I've been tying. We talked about this last time I streamed, but my homemade flies, the woolly buggers specifically, have been doing a good job of catching panfish and bass. And I've done a fair amount of trout fishing this spring as well, but we're not really going to get into talking about that quite as much this evening. Brian says he was using the Megabass Spark Shad in the 5-inch. Right on. Dude, that's a great bait. I'm not going to pull it out again, but you know that I like to fish it. In fact, I'm thinking about picking up another pack of them right now. Cabela's and Bass Pro, FYI, have like a bunch of Megabass baits on clearance right now. So I'm likely to pick up, you know, a handful of them. Just FYI, if you guys want to check that out this evening, here's a little inside tip for you. Go check those out. There's some 30-40% off, which you can't ever find. So it's select colors, select sizes of different baits, but a couple good options in there. I'm not going to spill the beans right this minute. You'll have to do your own searching, but there's only a handful of people in here right now, so just thought I'd let you know. Riley says she's got to go. No problem, Riley, honestly. Second in the pool league. That's awesome. Got to drive home. Okay, well, if you don't get back in time before the stream's over, no big deal. I'll probably only be on for another half hour, 45 minutes. this evening. Just getting time restraints. Hopefully I could be back on in the next few days or next week or so, get back on a little bit more regular of a schedule. But thank you for hopping on, at least for a couple minutes right now. So anyway, guys, let's move on to talking about the Ned rig. There have been 2 baits that I have used that are new to me, new to the market this year, and I've been very satisfied with thus far. Okay. Kind of got to dig these out. First is the Savage Gear Ned Salamander. Yo. This bait is cool. I've been very impressed with this bait. I've caught a giant trout and a pretty good sized bass as well on this bait, thrown on a drop shot, not a Ned rig. But check out this bait and the detail involved. It is a segmented bait. It's just a little over 3 inches long. It is made from what Savage Gear calls Duratech, so kind of like a Laztech. But boy, this bait has a lot of detail, a lot of ribbing, and a lot of tapering. So this thing has a ton of action in the water. It does come pre-scented, and it comes in some really cool colors. So I've got it right now just in pink and black, I believe. But the pink has gotten the job done for me. It's really the only one that I've thrown. I haven't thrown the black one just yet. I think it's actually black and blue what I've got, but I would highly recommend that you check out the Savage Gear Ned baits, okay? That said, I do have a little bit of an opinion after having tried them. The Savage Gear Ned Craw is a great bait, though obviously it's tiny, sitting right here at 2.5 inches, but really like it. But the Savage Gear Ned Minnow, I have not really figured out yet. I rigged it on a Ned head and just went for more of a straight swimming retrieve, and I found that it does not have nearly the action that I would have thought or hoped out of a bait that has segments. As you can see when I stretch this, it has segments cut out, but if you see when I put this straight up and down, the tail does not really bend over. And now it looks like it has decent action as I'm wagging the tail back and forth, but it stiffens up a little bit in the water, and it really has to be fished pretty fast in order to get any decent kick out of it. So far, I'm least impressed with the Ned Minnow, but in general, the Savage Gear Ned baits and their Duratech material that is scented, I'm a big fan of. So this pink salamander has killed it for me so far. Caught a big old, probably 22-inch rainbow trout and a really decent, probably 2.5, almost 3-pound bass just in the past week or so. So NKR says, what does Hooksets are free mean? Does that mean fishing Hooksets? Yes, it does, man. It's a fly fishing adage. It's an old saying, really from fly fishing, where it suggests that you might as well set the hook when in doubt. You know, when you're fly fishing, the takes of a trout or another fish taking your fly can be very subtle, and you can second guess when the fish might or might not be eating your presentation. And if you don't set the hook, it gives the fish the opportunity to take it and spit it out, which also happens in bass fishing and all other types of fishing as well, where fish will eat what you're providing. So if you're All right, we should be back. Sorry about that. So if you're fishing something relatively realistic or not, and they decide to eat it, at some point they're going to spit it back out if you don't set the hook. So the phrase means hook sets are free. You might as well set the hook if you think a fish has eaten what you're presenting to them, because worst comes to worst, you set the hook on nothing, or you set the hook on a log or a rock or something that felt like a bite, and you don't catch a fish. But that's better than not setting the hook on what was a bite and missing a fish. You know, we go out and fish for however long we have the opportunity to get out for, and it's not free to go out and fish. The gear's not free, and time is not free. But you might as well set the hook. Does that make sense, NKR? All right, guys, next bait that I've used on a Ned rig. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you would have seen this. This is the Molix Freaky Flex. Really cool Ned-sized creature bait. And Molix is also using an Elastec style material. I don't know what they call it, but it is also scented like Savage Gear. So I gotta say, big ups to Molix and Savage Gear for making a super durable and high floating soft plastic that is scented, because Z-Man does not scent the vast majority of their baits. Some of them that are like saltwater specific, you know, they're jerk shads, fluke style baits do come scented. They'll put them in, oh, what is this? Procure. But the vast majority of them are not scented. So anyway, the Molix Freaky Flex caught me my first smallie of the year a couple weeks back, and I was very impressed with that bait. Similarly, Molix has a couple of other Ned baits that they've put out, and I don't know if I'll be able to find the other one in quick order because it's a small package, but let me see if I can dig it up. Here it is. Yo, check this bait out. I caught a decent largemouth on live stream on Instagram on this bait, and my phone died, overheated while I was live streaming. So this bait is called the Stick Flex, and it's a good one. Just like that Freaky Flex, it's also made from a durable, stretchy, and scented material, but this is a sweet little Ned bait. It's tapered, it's ribbed in the top half, and I love the profile. So check out Molix and Savage Gear with their new Ned baits, because I've been very impressed with those. So a couple more things to talk about are weightless baits. The Bellows Gill from G-Crack, or G-Crack, however you would pronounce them. As you can see, I've only gone through one of these baits, but I caught, I want to say, 3 fish on the one bait. So I've been very satisfied with that. Durability has been a little bit better than I thought it would be, but the last fish that I caught on it a couple days ago was able to throw the bait off the hook, and I didn't really feel like wading into the water to retrieve the bait. My guess is that it wasn't totally torn up. I probably could have used it if I wanted to go in and get the bait, but I decided to just let it go. So Again, this is the 3.8 inch size of the bellows gill, and I've been fishing it almost exclusively on a weightless Texas rig. Okay, I'm using a 4/0, maybe even a 5/0. No, I think a 4/0 EWG style hook, and this thing, with the amount of salt that it has in it, has a perfect slow glide. Probably a foot every 3 seconds or so. So it has a nice slow glide. If you straight retrieve it, it's going to swim through the water. But if you fish it like you would a Zeko and just kind of let it fall and then twitch it, it's a pretty sweet bait. I've been very impressed with it so far. And likewise, I've been fishing the Yum Dinger, a Zeko style bait, just a stick bait, in the summer gill color. I believe that's what it's called. And I've been having great results with it. Like, really good results. And yeah, highly recommend that. So, I have not necessarily been partial to stick baits and specific companies, but I heard on a podcast from Smallmouth Crush, he was interviewing a smallmouth guy who just raved about the Yum Dinger in that summer gill color. So I picked up a pack or two of it, and yeah, it's been sweet so far. So William says, wish I could stay longer, but I got to get up early tomorrow, do some work. Good night, everyone. Tight lines. Okay, man. Appreciate it. Thanks for hanging out tonight. No problem at all. Again, I'll probably only be on here for another 20 or 30 minutes maybe. But cheers to you. Have a good night. Get some rest. Hope you have a good day tomorrow, man. Brian, I am fishing the Ned rig on an exposed hook. Okay? Most of the time. I find that the weedless hook, the EWG style hook is good, but the weed guard style hooks have not really helped out much, at least this year. And so I find it much easier to set the hook with just a standard exposed jig head. So I am 8 times out of 10, I'm using the Z-Man Finesse Shrooms jig heads in the 1/10, 1/15, or 1/20th ounce sizes. There are a few other heads that I will use. I use the Trocar one, I use the Owner blockhead, and maybe a couple of others, but I try not to mix it up too much, man. So, exposed is the short answer, okay? Couple other baits that are just worth mentioning are the jackhammer chatterbait, the Spro rat, and the frog. I've started catching them on a frog. So top water is starting to come in. It's been brutally hot here in the last couple of weeks in Colorado. Temperatures in the 90s and pushing 100 Fahrenheit. And it's been hot. So the water temps have skyrocketed. The bass are kind of in all stages of the spawn because the water has increased in temperature so drastically. So in some places, the water is warmer than you would expect for the bass to be spawning, and yet they're still in pre-spawn. But in a lot of places, bass are still spawning, and in many places, they've already finished and are now post-spawn. So we're kind of, in between right now. But it is what it is. So I've gone out night fishing just once or twice, caught them pretty good, and black and blue jackhammer chatterbait, as well as the Spro rat in the 40 size in the morning dawn color, got it done for me. Now, this bait has done so much work for me over the past couple of years. I can't I can't tell if you can see just how many teeth marks are on this bait or not. The paint has held up decently well, but I've probably caught 100+ fish on this bait, maybe more than that. And the tail finally came apart the other night. So I'm going to replace it, and I was even considering reattaching this, you know, either tying it on like I would tie my flies or gluing it. But, you know, when you buy the Spro Rats, they come with a spare tail. So odds are I'm just going to swap it out for the tail that came with it. My wake bait box is right over there, so probably won't grab that just yet. What's up, Justin, in the house? No diggity, man. How you doing? As for the frog, the Toad Runner junior size. I don't know if you guys throw the Toad Runner, but it's a sweet little bait. There are a few prop frogs on the market, and you know, the Teckle Sprinkler Frog was really one of the first ones on the market, essentially to create a weedless whopper plopper style bait in a frog. But since then, Lunker Hunt has come out with a couple of prop frogs of their own, and I like this one because it's got that stinger hook right in the middle. I'll show you that up close because it's a pretty sweet design. And then Booyah makes the Toad Runner, which is essentially the pad crasher with an extra hole and this unique style tail, which has a piece of metal that runs through and down the tail. So you can actually bend this thing and it will change the frequency of the vibration and how hard it plops or how subtle it plops. So the Toad Runner junior size, so far so good. I've had a handful of blow-ups. I've just caught 1 or 2 fish on it so far, but frog fishing season is just officially upon us, and I'm getting my box all organized, consolidated, and I'm pumped. So top water is here. So anyway, I think that pretty much does it for what I wanted to talk about in terms of what I've had success with so far this season. There are a couple of others that I didn't mention, and I'm sure I'm forgetting a few as well. But like I said, I've been fishing for trout a lot as well. Justin has been doing some trout fishing as well. He said, doing great, caught a couple of rainbows today, took the boat out. Sweet, man. Super happy for Justin. He got a boat a month or 2 ago and has had an opportunity to get out a couple of times and catch some good fish. So good for you, Justin. I know you caught your PB cutthroat just a week or 2 ago and posted some pictures on Instagram. So good for you, man. Especially just for getting out, for showing the family what it's all about and having a good time fishing and catching fish too. So I feel like, did I send you any of my favorite trout fishing jerk baits, man? Those Dynamic Lures HD Trout. Because if not, I need to send you a couple of them. I think you'll be super impressed with those baits. Again, the company is Dynamic Lures, and the bait is called the HD Trout. I've showed you guys those a number of times. It's like a 2.5-inch jerk bait. It is a sinking jerk bait and weighs just like 1/10 of an ounce, and the thing absolutely slays. I don't have my little jerkbait box here. It's in the garage right now because I've been using it so much and killing on that bait as always so far this season. When not fly fishing, that is my go-to bait for trout fishing. When I'm using artificial lures, and like I said, I've had good success throwing the max scent baits cut down and thrown on a trout magnet jig head under a float. That has been killer for me for trout and for perch, as well as bluegill and crappie. So yeah, absolutely. You said, dude, trout inhale the Rapala F5s. Yeah, the floating minnow is a great bait. I am not surprised that they're absolutely killing that. I've got a bunch of them. I like the floating minnow. I like the husky jerk. And I'm looking at a little box of jerk baits. I like the X Wraps. I like the new Strike King KVD 100 size jerk bait. That's a little bit of a slow float type of bait, but it only runs a couple feet deep. So there's a lot of really good options for jerkbait style lures when fishing for trout that are in that like 3-inch size. But good for you, man. Right on. Congrats one more time. So guys, since I'm a little bit limited on time, I'm going to go ahead and show you what I picked up from Discount Tackle for this month for June 2021. If you were late to this stream, like Justin, or you're watching this on the replay, or you just hopped in, feel free to rewind or rewatch later and see what it is that I've been catching fish on primarily so far in the past couple of months during the pre-spawn and the spawn here in Colorado. Again, it's ranged from the drop shot to wacky rig to weightless Texas rig to the Tokyo rig to the Ned rig primarily, and a variety of different baits, all of which I showed you guys up close and personal. More recently, the chatterbait and some topwater baits like the frog and the rat have really started to come into play. Just because it's gotten so hot, but moving baits have not really been the deal as much as I thought they would be so far for me this year. So Justin says, you did catch that nice bass on the chatterbait black and blue broad daylight. Yeah, man. I had it tied on because I went night fishing with it a day or two before that. And I just left it tied on. And, you know, black and blue works all times. Not just at nighttime, not just in dirty water. So I did have it tied on. In tandem, I brought 2 rods to do some night fishing. The Spro Rat in the 40 size and the Jackhammer Chatterbait in the black and blue. Those were 2 of my most productive lures for night fishing over the past couple of years. And so I tied those 2 on and just said, I'm not bringing a bag. I'm just bringing these 2. We'll see what I can catch. And I had an awesome time with it. I caught probably 10 or so fish in just a little over an hour. And then, you know, because that fish ripped the tail off, I ended up, you know, taking off the rat, but left the chatterbait on, and caught a pretty good one on the black and blue chatterbait. So, Matthew says, been catching a lot of fish on the Tiny Clash and K9. Caught a monster 6-pound bowfin on the Tiny Clash yesterday. Good for you, man. Man, those baits look awesome. I don't have any of those higher end swim baits that are super hard to get your hands on for a couple of reasons. One, I'm just not like a big time hunter when it comes to chasing down difficult or rare baits. I don't like going after drops, things like that. You know, a lot of those baits are really only released um, every so often, and they have a cult-like following, and they cost a fair amount of money. So I haven't gotten into that game just yet, but I know that those Clash 9 and Tiny Clash swim baits can be absolutely killer, are really good baits, and so good for you, man. Maybe one day. So guys, discounttackle.com. Here's a little preview of what I picked up this month. I did record an unboxing video already, so this package is open, and I'm just going to rifle through these real quick for you. We'll start with soft plastics, and then we'll move on to hard baits for you. Okay. First, we got some swim baits. This is the Z-Man 4-inch diesel minnows in the Slam Shady color. I don't know if you guys follow the Salt Strong guys, but this is an exclusive color for them. It's like a pearlish type of color with some silver and gold flake in it. Very cool color. That is a little bit more translucent and muted than like a straight white or a pearl, and it's got that flake in it. So great for high sun and for clear water conditions. But I have this bait, this color, in a few different baits so far, and I'm a big fan of it. I haven't had a ton of success on it, but I really like the look of it, and think it will do well in my bodies of water. So anyway, the guys from Salt Strong had Z-Man make this for a while for them, and then Z-Man couldn't keep up with production, and so Salt Strong decided to outsource and make their own baits, which did not go over very well. It was not the same, and so they got back in touch with Z-Man, who figured they could probably ramp up production post-COVID and figure it out. And so far, so good. So, next on the list, Yamamoto 4-inch Zeko paddle tail, okay? Justin says, military helicopter going over my head right here. Sitting outside enjoying a chicken salad. Laughing my ass up. That's pretty wild that you've got a military helicopter going overhead right now. It's pretty late for that to be happening, no? Sheesh. All right, guys. So Matthew says if you want to get a DRT bait collab, they have one on the Hookup and Tackle Warehouse. It's a collab with Fish Arrow and DRT. They made a crankbait, a crank glide bait. I got one in the Spectre color. It's a very nice bait. They're still in stock. Interesting. I might check those out. Matthew, do you follow me on Instagram? If so, send me a DM and let me know that information so this doesn't get lost in the chat right here. Because I would appreciate that, at least the opportunity to check it out after the fact. So, guys, this is the Zeko paddle tail. It's exactly like the Zeko, but instead of its standard straight tail with a little bit of thump to it, this has a straight up paddle tail. So this can be used on a jig head, swum like a standard paddle tail swim bait, or it can be thrown on the back of a chatterbait like the original Zeko was. So I've actually heard good things about this bait so far, and wanted to give it a try. You know, I don't throw a lot of paddle tail swim baits. Oh my god, I just lined all these up in this package, and then I dropped it in the bag. So I'm going to deal with these later. As I was saying, I don't throw a lot of paddle tail swim baits on the back of chatterbaits because the action of the tail impedes or interferes with the action of the blade and the displacement of the water already coming before it. So what you need to do with a lot of paddle tail swim baits is rig them upside down so that it doesn't kick quite as wide, and can have more of a consistent action. So I like to throw straight tails, I like to throw cross style trailers, and there are a few paddle tail swim baits, including the Diesel Minnows from Z-Man, that I actually think does pretty well on the back of a chatterbait. So, hey, Justin's right, guys. If you're in here right now, I know there's only 5 of you, but hit that thumbs up button, because there's only 4 thumbs up right now, 5 people watching. Do me a quick favor and hit that thumbs up, and yeah, super appreciate you guys. All right, thank you, Matthew. Yes, shoot me that DM on Instagram, and I'll check it out a little bit later. Guys, next up is the Strike King Z2. This is not the baby size, but the original. This in my favorite color, the Arkansas Shiner, which is like a green pumpkin, brown type of back, and a little bit more of a translucent pearl belly. This is what I've had most success on in the baby Z2 so far. And, you know, the only color that I had in the full-size Z2 was the baby bass, which is not super natural, but I've had good success on it. In fact, I threw it on a Tokyo rig earlier this year, caught a handful of fish on it. So thought I would pick up another pack, at least, of the original size Z2. Next up, more swim baits. This is the Power Bait Hollow Belly Swim Bait, okay? I actually didn't own any of these, but they're making these in the HD series colors now. And this is the Power Bait scent. So, you know, they're not super cheap. They come 3 to a pack in this 5-inch size. And they're like $6 and change, almost $7. But check this out. I mean, super realistic, all right? This is the HD yellow perch color pattern. So, a few different ways that you can rig this thing. You can rig it on an external jig head that will be out the nose, the jig head with the hook on top. You can cut a slit in the belly and throw an internal jig head inside the head and just have the hook exposed. Or you can throw this on a keel weighted, you know, weedless, belly weighted swim bait hook, like a Trocar swim blade, a Owner beast hook, anything like that. But these are sweet little hollow belly swim baits, and I hadn't ever tried these before. So when you get the combination of the color pattern and the scent of Power Bait, there are a few places that I can think that I'm going to put this bait to work. And so 3 in a pack, and yeah, I had to give it a shot. So super pumped about that. Daniel Rojas in the house, dude, says, I've been targeting trout recently, but water temps have been high. Well, that makes things pretty difficult, man, because the trout get very lethargic and are much more susceptible to dying when the water temps are high. So you have to be very careful of that. Trout fishing here in Colorado was really good just a couple weeks ago in some of my local lakes where they stock them. They stocked them in April, and then here over the month of May and early June, it's gotten very hot. So those stockers have either gone deep or have really suffered. So I was able to catch a decent amount of them a couple weeks back, but they have all but disappeared by now. So you say, Yeah, I agree, Daniel. Once the temps go up, you really need to leave the trout alone, to be honest, unless they are super deep and the water temp is arguably deeper or lower at those depths, then it's not quite as big of a deal. But otherwise, I would go to creeks, streams, rivers, where the water temps are going to be lower. Okay. Next up, I got 2 packs of the Kitech Swing Impact Fats. This in the 4.8-inch size, and I got 2 colors to match the 2 jigs that I have. Okay. I've got this tungsten Model 3 swim jig that Kitech makes, and I feel pretty mixed about the design of this jig. It's very high quality. First of all, it's a tungsten swim jig. It's got a great hook on it, really high quality skirt, but it's got an interesting keeper that is literally like a screw, and then it's very unconventional looking, where it's got the line ties sticking up and it catches a fair amount of grass. So you don't fish this thing where you would typically fish a swim jig, which is kind of upsetting, but still it's like a skirted swim bait. So this color is called the Silver Flash Minnow, and it's awesome. And I'm going to show you how this looks rigged up. This is the 3/8 ounce size. It comes with a 5/0 hook on it. And I've got the matching color 4.8-inch Swing Impact Fat swim bait to go with it, okay? So I'm going to show you what it looks like rigged right on this puppy. It's gonna look gorgeous. All right. There she blows. All right, so again, greenback, kind of a pearlish flash belly, and it's got almost the perfect hang where you're half inside the skirt and half, really all the tail is outside the skirt. So I've got one in the all black color as well. Decided to get a pack of the all black swim baits because these I think are a discontinued color and are difficult to find, and I actually don't have any size of the black color of the Swing Impact Fat. So I decided to scoop them up from Discount Tackle. 1, because they were available, and 2, because they're a good price. So I will throw them on the back of this swim jig. I will throw them on the back of a buzzbait. I will fish them a few different ways, and I'm excited about having them. So that does it for the soft plastics. I've got, I think, 3 hard baits in here. What did I miss? Matthew says that swim jig is meant more for rocky areas. Like that baby bass pattern. Got a pack in the 6-inch ones. Right on, dude. Brian says, what's your most disappointing lure that you have? That is an interesting question, and one that I don't really want to talk about or love talking about. Because, of course, I've bought a bunch of lures that I don't really see as worth it, but it's a different type of conversation And again, not really one that I enjoy having is shitting on baits or companies specifically, but we can talk about that another time, okay? I'm not against talking about it. I just don't think here and now is the right time and place. So the Funk, Frankie in the house, what's up? The Reef Robber, what's up? Reef Robber, what's your name, dude? I don't know that I recognize you being in here, but I really do appreciate you being in here. Wonkfish, don't recognize you. What's up? Welcome to the party. Have you ever used a wobblehead jig, or do you have any advice on them? Yes, I have, and a little bit. I can give you advice. So there are a couple wobbleheads that I use. The main two are the one that is meant to be directly paired with the oh my god, I'm gonna blank right now. Dude, you might need to hit me up separately, but it's got an owner hook in it. And what is the wobblehead bait? I'm gonna have to dig through my terminal tackle to show you. So there are two heads that I like to use. One has an owner hook in it. The other one is the Berkeley version of the wobblehead, which has the Fusion 19 hook in it. Anyway, those two are my favorite wobble heads to use. I like to use a craw or beaver style trailer, something that's got kind of a good kick to it. The Zoom Z Craw is a good one. The Strike King Rage Bug, or Guggen Baits Bandito Bug, are all great options because they're relatively flat and are going to run horizontal along the bottom. What you want to do is just straight retrieve once you've hit the bottom. So bomb it out there. You want to throw at least a ½ ounce, 3/4. Let it hit the bottom. And you want to make sure that you're in an area with rocky bottom. Okay? That's where this presentation is going to excel. And the type of rock that is smallish. You don't want giant rocks where you're going to get snagged all the time, have to pop free. This is more of like a crankbait style presentation where you're just going to straight retrieve once you know it's on bottom and make contact with the bottom. Okay? So Pit Boss is a great option, dude. Nothing wrong with that. It's just going to be a little bit more subtle of an action. I would throw something with a little bit more kick to it. Even the Zoom Ultra Vibe Speed Craw could be a good option. There's a bunch of baits out on the market, but something that's going to be a little bit more of a beaver or creature bait or craw style bait is going to be a good option. So, yep, it sounds pretty good. And honestly, my only advice, other than just making sure you're in the right place and you're fishing it in the right way, just along the bottom, nice and steady, making contact with the bottom, deflecting naturally, would be to mess with the retrieve a little bit. Because you kind of have to picture what the fish are doing. So once you're retrieving for a while, there's going to be some fish, just like with any other presentation, that are following the bait. So just picture that and think about stopping every now and again and allow them to eat it when it stops, or leave when it stops. So a stop and go style retrieve, or every now and again speed it up and kill it. So what's going to happen is it's going to lose contact from the bottom, rise up just a little bit, and then fall and crash into the bottom a little bit more violently. So just like with anything else, I would mess with your presentation style and the retrieve in order to draw attention or make the fish react, and just see what happens, But hopefully that helps just a little bit. Frankie says 316 makes no bullfrog that I'm dying to try. Swims like a real frog. Interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before. But guys, I got 3 more baits to show you. One is the Lucky Craft Gunfish 115. This is a very, very classic bait. Top water walking bait. This thing retails for, you know, a relatively pretty penny. Something in the ballpark of 15 or 16 bucks. For its size, most baits on the market these days would have 3 hooks. This guy still has 2. But this is really a good hybrid, one of the OG hybrids between a walking bait and a popper. Okay? So that's what I really love about this bait. I've got it in a couple colors already. It's got a loud, multiple noise. There's multiple rattles inside this thing. Kind of glass and brass type of sound. And so this thing is going to walk very well, but also if you pull and chug it, it's going to pop more like a popper. But when you're walking it, it's going to spit more water than a typical walking bait because of that cupped face. So the Gunfish 115 is one of the OG walking baits, along with the Sammy from Lucky Craft. Great bait. So I didn't have any in the MS American Shad color and felt like I needed it in my box. So I picked that up this month from Discount Tackle. And likewise, a bait that I have one of in my box already, but didn't have this color and was very interested in having it, is the Evergreen Shower Blows 150, the SB 150. This is a magnum size walking bait, but it is a pencil popper style walking bait. So this is just shy of 6 inches long at 150 millimeters, and it weighs a very reasonable amount. You know, you'd be surprised. It's 1 9/16, or like 44 grams. So this thing is actually just like 1.5 ounces, which is right in line with a lot of the other baits in its category. So the Strike King Mega Dog, the 6th Sense Mag Dog, there are a couple of other baits in this category, which really were designed more so to appeal to saltwater fish, to stripers, but can certainly catch mega largemouth bass and smallmouth bass in the summertime when they're feeding up. A bait like this with louder knockers and a more pronounced action can call fish up from further away, from deeper, and get the job done. So I really like that the bottom of the Shower Blows has all this flake on it. Let me see if I can show you. It's got a whole bunch of sparkle. Not going to be able to show you because the camera's not focusing well. And this thing is tail weighted, so it is going to walk side to side, almost 180 degrees, and it's going to fish well in place. So this is a bait where when you don't want to cover quite as much water, the Shower Blows is a great option. Yeah, Matthew, I picked up a bunch of the, well, not a bunch, but a few of the Shower Blows 105s in the past couple of months. Really excited about that bait. Love that it's got 3 hooks on it, especially for the size. And the brand new 77 Shower Blows was just released at the Bassmaster Classic this past week. So pretty cool deal. But this is a duplicate for me, and one that I'm going to throw in this month's giveaway on Instagram, and I'll probably make a separate video on YouTube, or I think I maybe even said in my unboxing video of this stuff that I will hopefully post in the next few days that you could enter there. But this is the Evergreen Shower Blows 125. This is the standard size, again in the bone color. This is a very well sought after bait, high quality components, design, colors, action, everything that you would want out of a topwater walking bait. This bait has it. So it retails for like 18 bucks. You can buy them cheaper on Discount Tackle. I got this one for like 14 and change. And I'm going to include it in this month's giveaway for one lucky winner, because I've already got this bait in this color and saw it in stock again. Thought I would pick one up for you guys. So I'm going to throw that up in the giveaway. But, oh, Ron Holly in the building. You did miss out on a bunch, and I got to hop out of here in just a few minutes. But, dude, Ron, I was already talking about the Spro Rat and how this one has gotten so beat up that the tail got ripped off the other night while I was fishing. And I'm going to have to find a way to reattach that. So, thought you might like hearing about that. But, yeah, we've been missing you so far tonight. Good to see you showing up. Better late than never, dude. Of course, you can watch the replay. No problem. You can see what I've been catching fish on so far this year, as well as what I picked up this month from Discount Tackle. I've probably caught, 100 trout and maybe couple hundred bass, 150 bass, and maybe 25 fish of other species, whether it be crappie, bluegill, sunfish. I'm not even thinking of what else it might be, but yeah, I've caught a few hundred fish this year, and it's been a great year so far. Very happy about it, and yeah, you can get a little preview of what I've caught them on so far. So, looks like Justin says this is far off topic, but can you believe it's almost July 4th? No, man. I mean, we're only 2-3 weeks away from 4th of July. Super wild. Everything has really sped up quick in the last month. You know, the pool opened just 2-3 weeks ago. The weather heated up immediately, and it's been burning hot in the month of June. And here we are in mid-June, going on July already. It's still 81 degrees outside here where I live in Colorado. It has been 95, pushing 100 degrees Fahrenheit, like every day for the last 2 weeks. It has been a lot of work to keep my lawn looking healthy. The thing has gotten cooked every day. I've been running my sprinklers more than I should. I've been manually watering the lawn with my hose. I'm doing everything I possibly can. So, yeah, guys, got to get some fireworks. I hear ya. Ron, have you done any bass fishing yet this year? Have you done any fishing in general? Have you caught a fish? Have you caught a bass? Because once you do, you got to remove that name, Bassless Chap, and you got to change it to something else, dude. I'm excited for when that happens. I want to help you out in getting over the threshold. You know, I caught a couple bass today, one on a frog. Caught a couple crappie today. Caught a green sunfish today. So anyway, I want to know what you guys are doing well on, how you guys are doing. Feel free to message me, comment on the video, send me a message on YouTube, on Instagram. I'm happy to chat about kind of anything at any time. Ron says, got my first crappie. Right on, dude. What'd you catch them on? What were you fishing with? Dude, Justin, I imagine you've got some insane fireworks. You've got a pretty wild style, dude, and I would not be surprised if your fireworks are insane. So, yeah, maybe you should record some videos on 4th of July. Let us in on a little bit of what what you guys do to celebrate, man. Wonkfish, tell us one more time, what's your first name, dude? Because we like to work on a first name basis here, and all I see is Wonkfish, Wonkfish. I appreciate the fact that you are contributing in the chat, hanging out, and just that's exactly what it's all about. You say, I usually get pop-its because I can't find classic fireworks in stores near me. Okay. The 10,000 fish cycle bait is what I caught a 3-pounder on in the middle of a rainstorm. Interesting. I haven't picked up that bait, but I've seen it and was curious about it. That spinner bait that kind of goes side to side. Looks pretty interesting. Very cool design, but I've heard from a few people and a bunch of reviews that it is a little bit more gimmicky than anything, so I didn't actually pull the trigger on trying it out just yet, but good to know that it's worked for you so far. Ron says, a dime-sized crankbait. No way, that's sweet, dude. Very cool. I caught a crappie on a little 3-inch section of a Yum Dinger today, as well as a little trout magnet with a piece of a Max Scent hitworm on it. Caught 2 crappie today. So, yeah, you can catch crappie on a lot of different things if you know where they're located. But very cool to catch them on a crankbait, man. Nice. Matthew says, I've been doing very well. Caught 40 bass so far. And 15 were off big swim baits or glides. Sweet, dude. Well, yeah, I assume that number would be much higher than 40 if you weren't fishing big swim baits and glides quite as much as you have been. So good for you. 15 fish on big swim baits and glide baits so far is an awesome year, and good for you, man. Longfish, Peyton. Gonna try to drive that into my brain. And thank you so much for hanging out, man. If you're not subscribed to the channel, do me that solid. Make sure you are, so that next time we do this, we can all hang out, talk baits, ask questions, just chill. You know, this is a good community that we've got going. Usually, it's a small crew. We're rolling with just 5, 10, 15 people at a time at most. This is not the kind of thing where, you know, I've got 100 people in here and folks donating money and me doing a big old raffle and, you know, everything else that is common in this day and age. This is a very small crew that we've got. We like to know each other by name and shoot the shit and talk about and ask questions in terms of what we've actually got questions about, what we want help with. And so very cool. And all from the bank, no boat. Good for you, Matthew. Yeah, Peyton. All right. Peyton says, I've tuned into the streams a few times. Never really commented. So I'm going to try and be a bit more of a contributor. Been subbed for a while. Do you have a Discord? I don't have Discord. I don't have TikTok. I'm not on really any other platforms besides YouTube and Instagram. I have a Facebook page, but I don't really use it at all. So, yeah, YouTube and Instagram is where you can find me, man. Where you can message me, get in contact with me at any time. You can also find my email from there and contact me more personally if ever you want to. But no, that's about all that I roll with. So, guys, I hate to do this, but I got to dip out of here. It's already 5 after 10. My power is going to get cut. We had a freak accident today. A small plane close to us here in Parker, Colorado, crashed into a power tower, and they're going to intentionally cut power to our section of this county starting 5 minutes ago. And so I'm surprised the stream is still running right now. I thought power would already be out right at 10 o'clock my time. But apparently I've still got it, but I'm expecting it to go out at any second now. And that means the lights are going to go out, the internet's going to go out, everything. And I don't really want to be caught down here with the lights out, with all these hooks exposed and everything, for me to crawl out of here. So I'm going to dip out of here for sure. Peyton, hit me up on Instagram. Make sure you follow me. It's hooksets.rfree. I've got a little bit more of a following on Instagram than I do on YouTube. I post there every day. YouTube, I'm very inconsistent these days, but I'm hoping to get on more of a regular upload schedule, and I'm always happy to take suggestions on what you want to see content-wise. If you've got any suggestions, if you want to see tackle review, if you want to see more unboxings, if you want to see fishing videos, let me know what you want to see, and I would be happy to oblige. So, Peyton, Matthew, Ron, Justin, everybody else who has been in here tonight, Riley, William, really appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. I'm going to dip out of here before power gets the best of me. Maybe pour myself a little bit more whiskey. And I will chat with you guys very, very soon. Hopefully this weekend. So keep your eyes out. My wife is going back to work. My father-in-law is going to be staying with my brother-in-law this weekend. So there's a chance, if my 3-month-old son is sleeping, that I might be able to hop on here for another hour, hang out with you guys, and just shoot the shit. So have a great rest of your night. God bless you. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the thumbs up if you haven't already. Leave a comment after the video is done uploading. And I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, guys.